Hey, yesterday's video got me thinking about some shit, uh, mainly with the left. Um, there was a time when every time you would disagree with a leftist, for like 2 weeks, this was a thing. Every time you would disagree with a leftist, they were like, "Oh, you've lived in the same spot for your whole life. You've never seen the world. You've never seen how anyone else lives." Something like that. Thankfully they stopped doing that. That's really fucking stupid. First off, but that's making a vast assumption about me just because I disagree with your retarded ass non-scientific policies. Your policies are based on bullshit, communism, and emotion. That's all it is. And I disagree with them. That doesn't mean that I haven't seen the world. I just disagree with how a lot of the world works. Okay, um, but you're assuming a lot about me as a person. I lived in Japan before you even knew what Japan was. Okay, why are you saying I've never lived anywhere other than America? And even if that weren't the case, do I need to have lived other places to understand their culture? Do I need to have lived there in order to know the differences? We have things like the Travel Channel and the Discovery Channel where you can actually watch whole documentaries, thousands of them, on other cultures. Your point is moot. Your point is invalid. Your point is invalid. Why are you saying this retarded crap? And then, of course, this also skirts around the point that you know it doesn't matter if I've lived anywhere. My argument is still valid. My argument is still fact-based. If you can't counter the argument, why are you bringing up anything else? Fuck you. I've lived more places than most leftists have even visited. I've lived more places than most leftists have even visited. Um, I've I've lived. Well, here's a life story. I was born in Maryland, lived in Virginia, lived in Texas, lived in Japan, lived in California, and now I'm back in Maryland. I visited Oregon, Illinois, and New Mexico, uh, and Arizona. I've also visited Arizona. However, the longest visit that I ever had was to Oregon. I've been through a lot more places than that because when well, most of the moves that my family has made have been driving. So we drove from Maryland to Virginia. We drove from Virginia to Texas. We drove from Texas to Illinois. We drove from Illinois to California. We drove from California to Maryland. I've been across the entire country. More than once. More than once. Oh, and when I visited Arizona and New Mexico, we drove through Nevada to get there. Now, when I've been on planes, we've stopped in Washington. We've stopped in Las Vegas. We've stopped in, I think we actually did stop in Vancouver once. Yeah, I've been all over the place, man. Had to jump cut. Anyway, I've been all over the place, man. Why would you even assume I've just been living in one place my entire life just because I disagree with your retarded communist bullshit? Fuck. Um, of course, if you ever disagree with a leftist, they automatically assume that you're a racist, a sexist, a homophobe, a transphobe, everything bad under the sun, and you're a Nazi. And you're a fascist, even though those are two different ideologies, similar but different. And you're some inbred redneck bumpkin with a low IQ. Fucking just stop. This is what the left has come to. The left has come to complete ignorance. You assume that you are right, So anything that contradicts your narrative, anything that even questions your narrative, must be wrong. And so it perfectly validates any insult that you have against it. You don't have to expand your mind. You don't have to think about things outside of your preconceived worldview. You just have to insult everyone who questions you. And you're right because you lived in another country. And you're right because you're on the side of the majority. And you're right because every corporation and government agency agrees with you. Somehow that all this bullshit makes you right. It doesn't. It doesn't make you right. It actually kind of makes you wrong. The majority is rarely right. The government agencies rarely support anything good. Corporations only support what is good for corporations. And that's not usually good for people. And the left used to know that. They used to know that. They don't know that anymore. And no, they're not liberal, they're left. I'm done using liberal to describe leftists. Leftists will still use liberal to describe themselves. I'll go out and say they're not fucking liberals. There's another thing that happened to me. A lot of times leftists will bring up, studies have shown that liberals have higher IQs than conservatives. But did you bother reading the study? Because they're using the dictionary definition, which applies to me and not you, you fucking communist. A liberal, according to those studies, is someone with an open mind who supports minimal government, free markets, free speech, supports natural rights, the rights of the people. A constitutionalist is a liberal. A libertarian is a liberal. Even fucking conservatives are liberals, given that definition. So yeah, the Dunning-Kruger effect. We see the Dunning-Kruger effect on a massive scale with these leftists. They don't even try to think outside of their fucking commie box. And that's commie with a C, not commie with a K. Because commie with a K is not fucking communist. They're very, very, very hierarchical. And I know I just kind of butchered that word a little bit. Said it very slow. Hierarchical. You can't eliminate hierarchy without an immense amount of government. You can't eradicate free speech without stomping on the rights of people. You can't be on the left without being the exact opposite of a liberal in the modern era. But yeah, I've lived all over the place, and you don't need to live all over the place to understand other cultures. That's what the Travel Channel is for. That's what the Discovery Channel is for. That's what the Science Channel is for. And on YouTube, which is where we are, you have even more resources to look into other countries and see them. You can see people from those countries discussing their countries. It's like that shit with Logan Paul. I was imagining, I've been going back over Japanese culture since I'm learning Japanese language now. But I came across Logan Paul's videos, and that got me thinking, are there people who actually watch his videos to think about what not to do in Japan? Because you really don't need to watch his videos to know what not to do. In Japan, you wouldn't do that here. You wouldn't do that down the street. You wouldn't do that anywhere in America. Why the fuck would you do that in another country? Logan Paul is a disgusting human being. And if you don't understand how all the shit he did was really fucked up and disgusting, there's something wrong with you. Anyway, thank you for watching. Peace out.